What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. I hope you're having a wonderful day. The fallout from the Warner Brothers Discovery merger and the massive content cut continues. We have Kevin Smith. You know he's going to have one of the best possible takes. I mean, Kevin Smith never met an IP that he wasn't willing to pretend he was a huge fan of to get paid for. Meanwhile, abandoning his so-called great friend Stan Lee when he was needed the most. At least that's how it appeared on the outside. Maybe he was doing things on the inside just unsuccessful. I don't know. And then we have John Oliver whining and complaining that it seems everybody's focusing on the ethnicity of the actor in Batgirl as opposed to whether or not it was actually a good film and whether or not it was going to make any money, which is extremely odd to me. All these streaming services pumping out content. There's a distinction between content and a good movie or a good show. And it seems like the belts are tightening because of the upcoming recession. And things are about to get pretty interesting. That and more after a super quick word from this video's sponsor. Huge shout out to this video's sponsor, Established Titles. Established Titles is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds or lords and ladies in English. They allow people to buy as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land so they can call themselves a lord or a lady officially. In return, they commit to plant a tree with every order and protect the beautiful pristine woodlands of Scotland. Established Titles makes an absolutely amazing gift, and a person could officially get their name changed on documents. Their title pack gives you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate and an official certificate with a crest. Established Titles is currently having a really big sale just for you, my subscribers. You can get an additional 10% off any purchase you make with the discount code TheQuartering. So click the link below, go to establishedtitles.com/TheQuartering and use promo code TheQuartering to save an extra 10% today. If you don't have a VPN yet, make sure you get one today, and private internet access has a massive discount for you. Kevin Smith says, quote, "It's an incredibly bad look to cancel the Latina Batgirl movie after Warner Brothers Discovery ended the film." I think it's pretty interesting that that's how he's referring to it, isn't it? Kevin Smith has weighed in on Warner Brothers Discovery scrapping Batgirl. By the way, they also scrapped other shows too, but this is the only one anyone's talking about because, well, the narrative. The movie that had made by the conglomerate had caused shockwaves in the industry, including and Smith, who is a comic book aficionado and writer, shared his thoughts on his YouTube series Hollywood Babylon. He writes, he said, "It's an incredibly bad look to cancel the Latina Batgirl movie." Why? And by the way, why is the Latina part relevant at all whatsoever? Smith said in a video, "I don't give an ish if the movie was absolute garbage. I guarantee you that it wasn't." Wait a minute. I thought you said you don't care if it was that. This is like a classic Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith will say whatever he needs to try and get another job in Hollywood. His He-Man series, Master of the Universe, has been an absolute disaster. Nobody wants Clerks 7 or whatever the heck he's trying to release. And most of the movies he's been involved with have been absolute garbage. He goes on, "I guarantee that it wasn't." Quote, "The two directors who directed that movie did a couple episodes of Miss Marvel, and it was a wonderful effing show. And they had more money to do Batgirl than they had to do an episode of Miss Marvel and stuff." What? I don't get it. The idea, by the way, first of all, so many people have no idea, literally no idea, that when you spend, let's say, $100 million on a movie, you'll spend another $150 million on advertising that movie. And then when you see the box office numbers, 700 million, 100 million, most people are getting half of that because the theaters keep a chunk of that for showing it. There's only one company, I believe it's Disney, that has negotiated like a better rate, meaning that theaters keep a lesser cut. I don't know if Warner Brothers has also done that. I haven't heard that. So it's not just walking away from 90 million, it's walking away from the extra 100 million, 150 million that you were going to spend in post, that you were going to spend on marketing it, and then spare yourself the embarrassment of having a box office disaster. It's like these people don't care about if it's a good movie or not. He's saying the quiet part out loud. I don't care if it's a good movie or not. It's a Latina. I don't you think that it's better for representation that you put underrepresented groups in actually good movies as opposed to just putting them in any old movie? You see Kevin Smith scrapping Latina Batgirl movie looks incredibly bad. I don't really understand. Now, I don't know anything about this actress. We know some people have written me from people who've seen the movie, said it was quote unquote incredibly woke. I don't know. I can't say that because I haven't seen any of the marketing. Yes, you hired a Latina, but again, we can't allow ourselves to just be like, oh, you hired a POC, so it must automatically be woke. I think that you have to leave yourself, some evidence. Otherwise, you become kind of what the left says you are. And we don't know. This person was starred in The Heights, which was a critically acclaimed but a box office disaster. This film, it was training for her. I don't think that the actress had as much to do with it. They had no idea the movie was being shelved, the film industry said. That's a giant problem. The Insider adds that the actors had told their teams that the situation has been humiliating and disappointing as they found out the news in the media alongside fans. I mean, yeah, I think that at some point you're going to see kind of the collapse of this woke economy, because people have to actually watch the stuff. It's great to have headlines where you talk about this is the first woman ever to do this one thing. This is the first Latina ever to do this thing. This is the first. Yeah, those are great. But if people don't actually tune in, eventually the bean counters start paying attention. You see John Oliver tears into Warner Brothers Discovery on his HBO show last week tonight for burning down the network for insurance money after $825 million in TV shows and films were cut. Exactly. It's not even it's barely Batgirl. $825 million worth of content. The comedian sarcastically said the new daddy business seemed like it was doing a really good job after the media conglomerate cut $825 million worth of content. He joked that the parent company was destroying the business for the insurance money, but added that I'm sure that'll all pass and mocked the $90 million flop Batgirl. The fiery comments startled some viewers because HBO is part of Warner Brothers' empire. It comes after Warner Brothers Discovery revealed in an SEC filing Friday that it had wiped off $825 million worth of content since the mega merger in May last year. The huge sum made up of $496 million in impairment on content and $329 million in content development write-offs. The figure was reached after the firm took an axe to the shows on TBS, TNT, as well as shelving the $300 million disaster CNN+. Who would have thought that people, didn't want to pay extra money to watch CNN? People watch CNN because it's on. Nobody changes the channel to watch that. Oliver said that his show, sharing things would have served two purposes: basic human decency, but also selfishness, blah, 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 blah. And yet, for some reason, we let the outbreak sit unused on our shelf in our reserves like an expired Chobani or a $90 million movie on HBO Max. He added, by the way, hi there, new business dad. Seems like you're doing a really great job. I do get the vague sense you're burning down my network for the insurance money, but I'm sure that'll all pass. On Friday, of course, they cut the money. The eye-watering figure included cuts across film and TV studios, TV networkers, and streaming services. Shelved films such as Batgirl and Scoob, Holiday Haunt were understood to be a part of it, with them expected to be accounted for in the next quarter. But it will also incorporate the losses from DC Project Wonder Twins that ended down in May before quarter two ended. TV stations TBS and TNT also saw programs cut, including Chad, Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, The Last OG, and Snowpiercer. Meanwhile, the sum was expected to be made up of the disaster at CNN+, but is separate from the staggering $200 million paid out in job cuts. Warner Brothers Discovery streaming chief JB Perriette said on Thursday that the children's shows, streaming content, and shows on TBS and TNT were mostly responsible for the sum. He said, "We will continue to have a healthy content investment, but these two content portfolios coming together, we see smart opportunities, blah, 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 blah." CEO David Zaslav said owning the content that really resonates with people is much more important than having just lots of content. Yes! Thank you! Yes, thank you. People want content. People want memorable shows. They don't want content. Quote, "The New York-based company lost $3.5 billion or $1.50 per share in the second quarter, announced Friday. Its recent adjustment loss for 11 cents per share." I mean, this is the truth. He understands. I think that these are smart cuts. He understands that when things get tough, people are going to start asking the tough questions, and they're going to start saying, what am I even paying for here? You know, like, what am I getting for all this money? Because I don't think I've turned on this particular streaming service, in 6 months or 8 months. So if you don't invest in truly groundbreaking content that people like decide that they can't not pay for, you're going to go by the wayside. So I actually think that this is a smart cut, but it's a deeper cut than anyone expected. And this is the true result of just, creating content instead of focusing on quality. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.